KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. It's great to be here. Um, I come in and we've been doing these shows for a long time, and I really don't plan what I want to do. I bring guests that I think are going to be really good, and we just go for it from our guts. I mean, do we even talk about what we were going to do, Michael?
No, I don't believe so. No.
Anthony, did I even tell you what to say?
Nope. I was walking down the hallway this morning. He goes, "Hey, you want to go to a radio show?"
I think they seem to work out best when I don't plan it. But before that, I do want to talk about something. A friend of mine, I'm not going to mention names to protect their privacy, but a friend of mine, his daughter, which is 23 years old, woke up at 5 in the morning yesterday and couldn't find her husband, and he had found him in the bathroom, deceased. They have 2 children. So these 2 kids lost their father. She lost her husband, and they lost a son-in-law. I get choked up, and it's hard to say. And of course, the kid's father lost his son.
Wow.
And it's such a tragic. So my heart goes out to the family. I know they listen to the show. Like I said, I'm not going to mention any names, but because we can't for sure say what had happened to this young man. But what I can say is I've been treating people now for 40 years. 40 years I've been treating people, running rehabs and speaking all over the country and psych wards and you name it, I've been doing it. And for the last 10 years, I've been screaming about the opioid epidemic. And I was screaming that we're going to lose more people than we have ever seen before when it comes to drugs. And, well, right before the pandemic, that was going on. If you remember, every time you turned on the television, they were talking about the opioid epidemic and the overdoses, and big farms started getting sued, and doctors stopped writing prescriptions, and it got crazy. And then, bang, the pandemic came. And nobody talked about the opioid epidemic. It kind of went away. That's not really true. I mean, friends of mine at Channel 7 had me on about once a month, and that's what we talked about, the drugs and that. But here's what happened during the pandemic. Just a question for you guys. Do you believe that because we had a new pandemic, that this opioid epidemic that we were talking about, that we stopped talking about, went away? You think it went away?
I don't think so. I think it got worse.
What about the people that had anxiety in the middle of this pandemic? You think their anxiety got less, weakened? What do you think, Mike?
Definitely.
You're the therapist here. What do you think?
No, definitely higher.
Introduce yourself, Mike. Tell them who you are and what you do.
I'm Michael, the clinical director at Action Family Counseling. I've been working in this industry for about 20 years now. Mental health and substance abuse issues. I've worked with veterans, homeless, worked in San Francisco for a long time.
It's crazy there, that's for sure, now especially.
I mean, with the availability of fentanyl, it's just, I think everything's gotten worse in terms of the ODs.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. And people now, they're taking these hits on their pipe where they're combining fentanyl, meth, and weed, and it's just incredibly. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
And now there's xylazine in it too, and that's making it even more deadly, which we'll talk more about it in a minute. But so the pandemic came. What's the most written prescription in the country? Benzos.
Benzo.
So you know that people that would had anxiety, now the pandemic's here, their anxiety went through the roof. Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What they didn't do when the pandemic came is they didn't really take in consideration mental health, alcoholism, drug addiction. I don't know that they could have, but they didn't take that into consideration, and we are now dealing with the aftermath of that. And it's still just starting, sorry, but it is. So what happened is people that had anxiety had more anxiety. People that were on anxiety meds needed more anxiety meds. People that were drinking, they didn't stop drinking, they drank more. If you remember, I went into Costco, you couldn't find toilet paper, water, and guess what else? Alcohol. Alcohol stocks went up.
Yeah.
That's how crazy it got. But at the same freaking time, we had a country that had an epidemic with opiates. And now, bang, right in the middle, they stopped writing prescriptions. Just like that. So all these people that needed their pain meds for whatever the reason, if it was for addiction, if it was for pain, whatever the reason, doctors stopped writing it the way they were writing it. Here's how they were writing it. Went to your doctor, you got 90 pills with 3 refills. All of a sudden, you went to your doctor, you got 10 pills with no refills.
Yeah.
Which means you had to see the doctor every time. But these people were addicted to their pills for whatever reason.
Well, I know people who have real pain.
Yes.
And they really needed those pills, but because of the abuse of the prescriptions, they can't get them anymore.
Exactly.
And that's what leads to heroin this decade right now.
Exactly, and we're getting there. So what happened is everybody started running around trying to figure out what the heck to do. The people that were addicted to the pain meds, there's all kinds of different kinds of addicts. Let's look at it this way, okay? Addict number 1. When we're young, y'all follow me, okay? You follow me. Tell me if I'm right.
Okay.
When we're young, we have what you call contracts. When I grow up, I want to be a therapist, or I want to be a doctor, or a lawyer, a cop, a veterinarian, one of those kind of things. Usually it's for the helping field, right?
Yeah.
And then we have another set of contracts. Remember those? When I grow up, I'll never. Remember those? I'll never use drugs. Especially me. I watched him kill my dad. He died at 47.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to drink alcohol, and I'm definitely not going to smoke cigarettes because everyone knows somebody who died of cancer.
Yeah.
So what's the gateway drug? What is it? Anybody can answer.
Marijuana.
Okay. Yes. What else?
Cigarettes.
Cigarette.
Exact. You know that cigarettes was the number 1 contract that people broke. So now, obviously, it's vaping. I don't want to say that it's more healthy than cigarettes because that's we don't even know that yet.
100% agree.
But we know it's not good.
Yeah.
So what happens is little Anthony,
Yes, sir.
he goes to school. Well, let me ask you guys a question first. There's only 2 reasons why somebody would light up a cigarette. Not 3, only 2. Y'all know what they are?
I can guess one.
What's that?
Peer pressure.
Exactly.
Yep.
Anthony goes to school. He looks over there. The guys are hanging out. They look cool, man. The girls are hanging out.
Heck yeah.
Everybody's having a good time. And he runs on over there and he wants to be part of the cool crowd. And he says, "What's going on, guys?" And all, they're hanging out a little bit. And somebody says, "Hey, dude, want a cigarette?" And most of the kids will say no the first time. But if you're there every day, what happens?
Eventually you say yes.
You get desensitized. It's not so big of a deal. No one's getting sick. One day you say, "What the heck?" and you take a hit. What did you just do?
Broke your contract.
Broke a contract you made probably in kindergarten, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you did something even more than that. You just really became part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you clean up this? It's only a cigarette. I will never smoke weed. And you mean it. But you're still hanging out with all these cool people. All of a sudden, somebody brings now a cupcake or a pipe or whatever you want to say to school, and they say, "Hey, dude, want some weed?" What does most kids say? "Oh, no, I don't use drugs." What do you mean drugs? This is pot.
It's pot.
It's not a drug. It's legal. Doctors are saying to use it. What's wrong with you? So what's going on in your brain now? Getting desensitized. Again, you're now starting to figure out a way to manipulate yourself and convince yourself that this ain't bad.
Yeah.
And you don't see anything bad. Everyone's having fun. They're smoking weed or eating their stuff and munchies and laughing, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
So one day you say, "What the heck?" and you smoke your first joint. What'd you just do?
Broke a contract.
Contracts are getting what?
Smaller and smaller.
Am I close to the way this happens?
Yeah.
So how do you clean that contract up? You say to yourself, "It's only pot.
Marijuana.
I'll never use hard drugs." And you mean it. But you're still hanging out with the same crowd.
Yep.
And you go to a party one day. And drugs are getting passed all around. And don't kid yourselves. If your kids are teenagers and they're going to parties in Santa Clarita or anywhere, there's a lot of drugs and almost everything is there available. True?
Absolutely.
They can get any.
lived
I
it.
mean, it just huh?
I lived it. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it's not just pot or alcohol. So, anyways, what happens is you're at the party, you're smoking a little bit of weed. Now tequila's coming. You have a cup of little drink of tequila. You're starting to feel really good. What happens when you start drinking? You lose your what?
Sense of right and wrong.
Sense of right or wrong. Your inabilities, your morals change. You don't care. All of a sudden, a pipe comes around, and you say, "What's that?" And they go, "Meth." And you go, "Oh no, I don't use hard drugs," but you drink a little bit more. And the pipe comes around again, and you say, "What the heck? One hit won't hurt." And you take your first hit. What did you just do?
Broke another contract.
No, forget contracts. They're gone already.
They're all out the window, smoking meth out the window.
And what'd you just do? You just smoked something that made you what? Feel different and better than anything you ever felt before. And if anybody's telling you that's not true, they're lying to you. It's a shortcut to the pleasure zone of your brain. And if you have an addictive personality, you're screwed. Period. End of subject. You're going to be chasing that feeling and that high forever until something happens, of course.
So your next fix.
Just like that. It's one of the most emotionally addictive drugs there is. And let's say it's not meth. Let's say it's opiate. It's the same freaking thing. If we have an addictive personality and we find that drug or alcohol or fix or pill and we fall in love with it, how do you tell someone, how do you stop that?
You can't sometimes without, you know.
Well, people don't stop until they have to, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So but I just want to back up for 1 second. I said there's 2 reasons why somebody would smoke a cigarette. What's the second one? It's a learned behavior from home. Mom or dad, brother, sister, somebody, uncle, aunt, somebody, grandma, grandpa, someone's smoking cigarettes. And this is to all the parents out there. Do what I say, not what I do, does not work. Period. So here's what I'm saying to you and everyone else. Be the person that you want your child to grow up and be. Do the things you want your child to grow up and do. If you don't want your kid to do it, don't do it. You're the role model. You're the example. They learn from you, period. So we have 2 different kinds of addicts, right? Those are those. The other addict is, of course, the one that went to a hospital, had an operation. They gave this person pain meds. He was really in trouble. He needed the pain meds. Pain meds, muscle relaxers, benzos, those are great drugs for a short period of time. After a period of time, what happens? We get physically dependent on these drugs. When we stop when we stop using them because we think maybe we don't need them, what happens? We get sick.
Dope sick.
Dope sick. So what opiates do, it actually tricks our mind to believe that we still need them.
Yeah.
Because we're still in pain, but really it's the addiction that we're feeling, not the pain anymore. So I know people that's been using 10, 20, 30 pills a day for years before they come to us. And as soon as they detox and everything is better, ibuprofen works better for what they were feeling because the pain left a long time ago. They were just dealing with the addiction. So it's a rough deal. I don't know. I mean, so here's where I'm going with all this is I've been screaming for years, but let's just take this year. I'm screaming and yelling at people, don't freaking use drugs. Fentanyl is in freaking everything. 99.9% of all the pills bought on the street, on the web are fake. You all hear that? Almost 100% of the drugs bought on the web, on the street, are not real. What are they made from?
Fentanyl.
Who makes them?
Drug dealers.
They're surely not chemists or doctors, are they? So these people, so if you're these guys doing the best they can, but if you're baking chocolate chip cookies and you put too many freaking chocolate chips in them, what happens? They taste good.
You're gonna want that one.
Yeah, you want that
well.
one. What if you're cooking up and you're making fentanyl and you put 3 things like salt, too much fentanyl in that batch? people die.
People are chasing that too. That's the sad part.
People die.
Yeah.
Every day I'm hearing about somebody who died. I just lost my one of my good friends' kids just died. I told you that, stepson. It's terrible. So I don't know how to tell you guys. I almost said something I'm not allowed to say at this radio station because I'm so passionate about stop freaking using. These drugs are killing everybody. How else can I say this? Tell me a way to say this. Kids cannot, sorry parents, kids are being cheated today, you're right.
They've been trying to
They
tell me for a
can't-
long time.
Huh?
They've been trying to tell me the same thing for a long time.
And the kids are being cheated. You know why? Because kids experiment with drugs. The kids that are experimenting with drugs today, I've buried quite a few of them. They weren't even drug addicts. They were experimenting. When a parent tells me my kid's recreationally using 10 years ago, wasn't a big deal. Okay, we'll deal with it. Now, I say, that's life and death. They're playing Russian roulette that way.
At best.
At best, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Russian roulette with 2 bullets.
Right. Right.
And then we're also finding mass overdoses. You know what that means? 3 or more at one time. So this is to the drug addict out there. If you're using drugs and you're with a crowd of people, make sure you use in shifts. Because if you all overdose, no one's Narcaning nobody. And the other thing is, y'all better be really extra careful because they're finding tranq, which is xylazine in almost every drug now. It's cut into the fentanyl, and the reason why they're doing that is because it keeps it intenses the high. But Narcan's immune to it, so if you're overdosing, Narcan might not save you. And remember, fentanyl is a downer. It drops your blood pressure. What does xylazine do? It drops your blood pressure. So you're doubling your chance of an overdose. This is what you guys are playing with out there. Whoever's listening to this, please share this. Go on Facebook, on KHTS, and share this. You might save some lives. So anyways, I've been ranting because I'm so freaking tired of hearing these people. I'm really sad about my friend's son-in-law. I'm really, really sad. I said son-in-law. I'm really, really sad. It's really terrible. These people, I love these people. And what a great kid he was. Now there's 2 kids with no father. There's a father and mother with no son. There's a wife with no husband. There's a grandpa with no grandkid.
It's traumatic.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just terrible. So, Anthony, I kind of asked you to come here. I just walked through the little center today, and I said, who wants to go on the radio with me? And you went, I do. Okay, so now you're on.
Yes, sir.
So how do I know you? Why do I know you? What's going on?
I'm currently in treatment right now for.
And you better listen. You're gonna have to do a lot of therapy on this guy.
I think I got a drug test when I get back after hanging out with Carrie for an hour. So.
Exactly.
So I am. I'm at the Action Rehab right now. I'm there for drugs and alcohol. This isn't my first time around.
So you were walking down the street one day,
Yeah.
and you looked up into the sky, remember? Mm-hmm. And a bong fell into your head and said, "Smoke me."
Yeah, something like that.
What really happened? Tell us how this started. 'Cause
I think for me, it all started I heard someone share one time that it was like, for him, it was like when your mom gives you those vitamin C gummies, when you're a kid, and you can only have 2 of them, from like the longest I can remember. I wanted to have 10, you know what I'm saying? Like the way they made me feel, the dopamine rush I got from it, the sugar in it, whatever it was. So I heard someone share about that one time, and I think that related with me the most, because ever since that time, I have chased that, that vitamin C gummy with everything I've done in my life. If it's drugs, alcohol, careers, work, I've chased that high with everything I do in my life, And so I'm at Action with Carrie over here. For a second time around, I got sober the first time in 2019, and from there on, I did the whole thing. I went to treatment for 6 months. I worked in treatment. From that point on, COVID hit, like you said, the pandemic and stuff, and it kind of just went off the rails from there.
You and many, many, many other people.
Yeah, I was institutionalized the first time I came in the rooms and stuff like that, in the centers. I was brought there by a van and a jail bus and stuff like that. And this time around, I'm driving myself there currently right now. And trying to save my life and my career for the first time. 3 years later, almost, whatever it's been.
You're living at home and you're coming every day.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah,
pretty cool.
So I have a really supportive family behind me. I have a mom that's been an Al-Anon for over 20 years. I have a great supportive father and stuff like that in my life, who's in the program as well. He's coming up, I think, on 9 months, I think is his next milestone.
Very cool.
So I have a very supportive family around me, but I'm here for the Anthony. I have an Anthony problem at the end of the day, I have a drug and alcohol problem, but I have an Anthony problem, and dealing with life on life's terms, I think. So
The getting sober part is actually the easier part because don't use. But now you got to deal with all the trauma, which we'll talk about when we come back, the stress. See, when people come into rehab, you don't got to teach them how not to use drugs or drink. Don't drink and don't use. What happens is then life hits, and all the feelings of guilt and shame and trauma and hurt and jealousy and all that stuff comes. If you don't know how to deal with that, it turns into an obsession to get high. When really what it comes from is that feeling that you got to learn how to deal with. But what our brain does, it says fight or flight. How am I going to feel good? And when we come back from break, I also want to talk about when we start using, our brain stops developing what the drug's giving us because it says, I don't want to overload him on it. He's finding it from somewhere else. The dopamine and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, they know that if a person starts using their teen years, like 13, 14, development actually stops once you start using. I mean, emotional, cognitive,
Wow.
and then that's why a lot of addicts, when they are coming off or are struggling, they're acting like teens, basically, acting like kids.
I was going to say, I have more kids in the adult programs than I did in the
Yeah.
teen programs
Yeah.
because they bounce off the freaking walls. On that
Yeah.
note, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here on KHTS. I'm Kerry Question. I am your host, along with Michael. Michael is the clinical director for Action Family Counseling.
Yeah, I'm a licensed marriage family therapist.
A what?
A marriage family therapist.
Right, and he's our clinical director for Santa Clarita and also for Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And we also got Anthony with us. Anthony likes hanging out with us, so, and he's a great guy, and he's been sober now how many days?
I think I come up in like 10 days.
10 days, dude. How's that feel?
It's pretty cool. Yeah, as long as I've been sober, I think I'm learning to deal with like my emotions at this point right now. So that's what I'm dealing with right now.
It could get overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for years, as Michael said, when we start using, what happens?
Yeah, I mean, you say somebody starts using in their early teens, the emotional development pretty much freezes. I was working with a guy a couple months ago. He was big time meth user, and he had to go in the hospital. Actually, he had his leg amputated, which was part of it was from the drug use. It was really traumatic for him. But the whole time, his sister and some other people were trying to appease him, and his whole behavior was just about manipulation, getting what he wanted when he needed it. Somebody actually bought him a brand new car, drove it down from LA so he could have it when he got out. And even then, he was still like unhappy and ended up losing the car. He went into, they got him like apartments. He went in there and just completely fell apart. And it was all because he was like this, they described him as like, he's acting like a big kid. He's like a big baby, just kind of crawling around on the floor. So,
Yeah, he hasn't really focused on himself
Right.
in so many years. The drug numbs us. You know, if we have a good day, what do? We want to celebrate. We use drugs. If we have a bad day, what do we want to do? We don't want to deal with it, so we use drugs or drink. If our girlfriend or whatever hurts us, what do we want to do? We want to drink. We don't want to deal with it. If the guy pissed us off, we want to knock him out. No, I'd rather drink. You know, if we
Yeah.
have a problem at work, what do?
Go to the bar.
We go to the bar. So all of a sudden, we take the booze away and the drugs away, and now you got all them feelings. The kid lost
Yeah.
his leg. I mean, it is whatever happened at home, and how you deal with that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, substance abuse and mental health really go hand in hand because, they know now in neurobiology that in childhood, when there's been severe trauma, even just seeing your parents argue or witnessing shouting matches actually changes the brain development in children. And to the point where as you develop, you begin to seek out more trauma, believe it or not. And the classic example is the girl who had an unavailable father, wasn't there, was using whatever, and develops into adulthood and seeks out an unavailable male because her brain's been hardwired to really seek that out. And the way you can tell this in yourself is if you ever feel that super attraction to somebody, kind of that instant attraction, that's kind of a sign that's you're experiencing that. You know, the best
Trauma
thing is to,
bonding.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I know it well.
date somebody boring. That's how you know when you really,
What fun is that, though? What
yeah,
fun is
yeah.
that, Doc?
It's really about the relationship. Yeah, yeah,
Date someone boring. I gotta remember that one.
yeah.
I'll think about that next
I'm
time.
sure my wife Jess is listening to this. I love you, honey, but neither of us are boring.
Right, right.
And also, Crystal is listening, and she's agreeing with us on how it numbed her. But Crystal's a good friend of mine, and I love her to death. And Crystal's been through a lot, and I'm super duper proud of you, Crystal. And Crystal lost her son too to a fentanyl overdose a couple years ago, and it's such a freaking tragic. That's why I'm doing this right now. And we have Danielle on the, agreeing with us, and some other people I'm not going to go through right now, but
Yeah.
it's a tragedy out there, Michael.
Yeah, and I was saying, once you come off the substances, all these, like you were saying, Carrie, all these emotions start to come up, and all this baggage you've been carrying around, kind of stuffing down. It's like, you have a ball in the pool, and you're trying to push it down, push it down. Eventually, it's going to pop up,
Yeah.
and that's when the pop up is really starts to struggle, and it's learning how to cope in other ways.
Yeah.
Instead of
But
using
for them, it's more like fight or flight at that time.
Yeah,
because they
exactly.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so having to learn new coping skills, make better decisions, and it takes a while. And the thing about rehab and 12-step and all of that, the way to begin to heal from all of that is through relationships, good, positive, healthy relationships, because they know, again, from neurobiology, that even us talking right now, our brains are interacting in a certain way to kind of develop those new neurons
Yeah.
that will help you to make better decisions and feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And the more you deal with your feelings, the stronger you get. Now your brain, like Michael says, stops developing your emotions and all that. But as you stay clean, it comes back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You just can't give up.
Yeah.
And it's giving up mean. Let's say you have a girlfriend.
Huh?
You have a girlfriend.
Seeing somebody, yeah.
Let's say she hurts your feelings.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
So your brain normally would tell you go do something to make your brain feel better.
Yeah.
This is the things now you have to go through. And that's how does men become men? How does girls become women? Is it age?
I think
No.
it's maturity level.
It's definitely not age.
Yeah.
Age doesn't turn a kid into a man or a girl into a woman. What turns us into adults is how we deal with our feelings and how responsible we now become.
Yeah.
I know many 60, 70-year-old children because they never grew up.
Are you kidding me? It's my fault, not everybody else's. Everybody else's fault, not mine.
Yeah,
my whole life.
Exactly. So what Michael's saying is exactly right. You now have to learn how to put the feelings in place. Okay, I'm upset because she hurt my feelings. I'm going to be okay, and we're going to get through it
Yeah.
instead of running.
And you'd be surprised. I mean, you bring up a good point. It does happen pretty fast, coming back up to speed to where you want to be. So you'd be surprised at how fast it develops and to where you want to be as far as your stages of developments. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so in other words, don't give up. They used to say, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. And I wanted to strangle him when I heard
I hate that guy at the meeting. I hate that guy.
But you know what? They're right, because one day you'll wake up and you know what?
Yeah.
You'll just be okay.
Yep.
You'll just say, you know what?
And you see like the love and passion in these guys that speak about it, how much like you carry and like many other men I've met, like the way you guys carry yourselves, like my life is so much better today because I listened to what I was told.
Hey.
That's as simple as I can put it.
You know, I'll put it to you this way. I've been clean and sober. This Christmas Eve will be 43 years. And I'll tell you what, I hated the first 2. You know why? Because I fought it. I knew I couldn't drink or use anything.
Yeah.
I had no doubt about that, and I knew that wasn't an option. I used up every excuse I've ever had. There was no more.
Yeah.
But I fought the program. I thought I could write 12 better steps. I thought it was a cult.
12 better ones.
But you know what? I still went. And then one day, you know what? I said, I just surrendered to this man.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was it.
Yep.
Everything got easier. And the reason why so many people struggle is because they don't go to rehabs to get sober.
Mm-mm.
They go to rehabs to get someone or something off their back, or they're afraid because they're using fentanyl and they don't want to die.
Yeah.
So they say to themselves, I can't use fentanyl. But when they're coming in here, they're not planning on staying sober. They're planning on not using something.
Yeah.
If I'm a fentanyl addict, why can't I smoke weed? I don't even like weed. Why would you want to smoke it then?
Yeah.
But that's their thinking. You know, if I use cocaine, why can't I drink tequila? If I drink tequila, why I know I can't drink that, but why can't I drink wine and drink like a normal person? Because you're not normal. So here's a promise to everyone. If you play with the disease of alcohol and drugs, you're going to get bit. If you decide and really decide in your brain that I can't drink, and here's a promise: if you stop drinking and using, I promise you better. Period. That doesn't mean every day is going to be peaches and cream, because that's not the way life is. But it'll be better than you ever had it before when you were using. That's a promise.
On that note, I had a client who was a really heavy alcoholic, and he used to go to the movies and sneak in alcohol, do whatever. And he said, he used to always pass out before the end of the movie. And he went sober. He goes, I actually stayed up for the whole movie. And it was so awesome.
And he remembered it.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, how many things? I don't even want to go there. But who's listening to you? You said your mom's listening.
I think my mom's listening. Either she'll watch later. I share the link, but we'll see if she figures it out. But I
What-
hope she's listening.
What do you call her? Mom?
Mom, yeah.
Well, talk to her.
My mom's listening
No,
right now.
not my mom. Talk to your mom.
No, I'm saying, Mom, if you're listening out there, I'm glad you're still here and sticking around me. I've done you wrong more than once or twice, so we can all agree on. My mother is my savior. She's giving me hope when no one else will. And she's giving me hope when
Tell her, not us.
she's giving me hope
Tell
when
her, not us.
yes, sir. She's giving me hope when nobody
Tell
else
her,
has.
Mom, you.
Mom, you give me hope when nobody else will. You've put gas in my truck when no one else will. You've showed up in the middle of the night when no one else will. I've continued to hurt you, and I'm not trying to do that anymore. The first things I think I said to one of my counselors when I came in here was that, like, I don't want to be sober. No part of me wants to be sober, and that's the most honest, truthful thing I can say. I love doing drugs. I love drinking alcohol. I love the lifestyle of it, but the lifestyle doesn't love me. I know in my heart, and I know I need to be sober, and that's why I'm here. But no part of me wants to be sober. I don't think anybody wants to be sober when they get here.
Yeah, I think they just don't know what they want.
What they want, yeah.
Because
that's a fair way to put it.
and that's fear based.
Yeah.
It's like how can I ever not drink or use anything ever again? Because that's been your savior forever.
It's my reaction to everything. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, you're bringing up a good point, Anthony, about that's so touching the way you spoke to your mom on air. And when people get clean and sober, people do so many addicts do so many bad things, so many bad behaviors, like stealing from family, abuse, all kinds of things. And there's always these feelings of guilt that come up in recovery. And think about it. Guilt. What purpose does guilt serve?
Yeah.
Really, none. The best thing you can do to make it up to those people is to stay sober,
Yeah.
and begin to enjoy the relationships that you have with them now.
I think that's the most beautiful part too, is like me being in a new relationship right now with somebody and like learning about her. Like, I haven't had a second guess what we talked about last night, or like the relationships or the feelings I felt in those moments, like seeing her laugh and stuff like that, and the conversations we're having. Like, it's like I'm seeing it all, not like waking up with somebody or going out with, or meeting somebody with all drugs and alcohol. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to like get to know somebody in a sober, clear mind.
Yep.
And
I had another client who used to say he used to pass out drunk, and then the next day his wife would tell him all these things he said and did. He's like, "Really? I don't even remember that." That's how powerful.
You know how many of those
these
I don't
things
remember?
are.
You know how many I don't remembers I have out there in the world?
Yeah.
But you still want to continue. See,
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing about alcoholism and drug addiction.
Yeah.
We have the only disease where our brain convinces us we don't.
Yeah.
The definition of crazy, the definition of insanity is, we know what it is. They're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's not us.
Yeah.
Because we know if we do the same thing over and over again, it's going to be the same results or worse, and we do it anyways.
Sure.
That's the real definition of crazy.
Yeah, and this person who would pass out, he would say, "Well, I'm just gonna moderate myself, and I won't pass out tonight. I'll be okay."
Yeah.
Of course, it would just happen again and again.
I have left AA meetings and like been on top of the world and say I got this thing and been up for on a 2-day bender after that. Leaving AA meetings before.
Yep.
So it's like the disease is stronger than any of us, and you can't do it by yourself. So you need a 12-step program and someone that's going to take you through it. Whatever that looks like.
And it's more than a commitment.
It's lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. You got to be. I mean,
and I'm horrible at that part.
when
Yeah.
we're out there drinking and using, then we would die for the drinking and the using.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world, people are playing Russian roulette at best. So if you want to be clean and sober, you got to be willing to die for it.
Yeah.
That's how serious you got to be. I don't care what kind of day you have. I don't care what happened. I don't care what you did. Drinking is not an option anymore.
Yep.
Not an option.
Yeah, and I go out with friends and go to clubs and stuff like that. I don't drink. I still have a great time.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fun you can have even without any of that.
Well, you jump in the pit, don't you?
Yeah,
You're like that punk rock stuff,
Yeah.
don't
He
you?
jumps in
Yeah.
the pit. He does.
He's
doesn't
a
he?
punker.
Doctor's a
Yeah.
raver. The doc's a raver.
Yeah, yeah. I got that hidden part of me. Yeah. for sure.
Oh, I'm gonna have fun with you,
Oh,
Michael.
I can see it. Sorry, Mike. We wouldn't hang out anyways.
No.
With his polo shirt on. Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
like he would jump into the middle of a.
I know. Doing therapy and counseling, and then he's got another life.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
dark side.
Oh man.
But that's all good, because at the end of the day, you want to have fun. Life's about not just being bored and miserable, and especially in our field. I mean, we deal with you guys, and we deal with death all the time, and we
Yeah.
deal with crisis and families that are torn apart and ripped to pieces. We got to have an outlet.
My dad. I mean, for me, my dad right now, he's like I said, he's come up on 9 months. I think somewhere around there. And
What's your dad's name?
Vince.
Vince, congratulations on your 9 months. That is
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
And this guy right here, man.
Are you
like,
proud of him?
Yeah, I'm so proud of him. I've been proud of him since his
So,
first 30 days.
so now you're going to be just like him.
yeah.
You're going to be sober.
I told him, I texted him 2 days ago. I said, I can't wait to take a cake with you.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm saying is that he's living it right now. Like he's so happy. Like he's loving life. He is like doing the thing. He's hanging out with his guys. They're doing Dodger games together. They're going to group meetings. They're doing book studies. Like he's a living, walking pillar of what you're supposed to do. And like I said, I was here the first time, so I had that too. So for me, it's like coming back in the second time around. But like I'm seeing a change in my father. You know what I'm saying? For the last 20 years, I've never seen in him, and he's genuinely happy without drugs and alcohol. Like he told me like 6 times. It's my first sober summer in 50 years.
You know what?
Like-
Stay with that for a second. You know
Yeah.
what the last thing my dad told me? And he died an hour later.
Oh no.
He said, I wish I could have gotten sober with you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your dad's got 9 months.
Yeah.
You ought to.
Something like that. It's come close.
You can't be more grateful than that,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yes, sir.
More proud.
Yep. I'm very proud of you, Dad. I love you, man.
And then, let's go ahead and take a break. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Kerry Quashin. I am your host. And, my wife Jess is saying she's my #1 fan. Damn right I'm listening. Okay, honey, I got you. I believe you. I love you. And also say hi to Mom-in-law. I know Arlene is right there with you. Anyways, back to where we were. And I love what you said to your dad just now. I think that was, what did you say? I forgot.
Just proud of him,
Yeah.
I'm really proud of him. I've told him that for a long time now, but he's doing the thing, and he's genuinely happy for the first time, and like without drugs or alcohol or anything like that,
How does that really make you feel? Really?
makes me believe I can do it, because he wasn't, but when I first time around when I got sober, I lived with my dad for a period during COVID, and he was still, would drink around the house, wine, and stuff like that with dinner and stuff like that, but he saw the change in me. And so, like, right now, like, I taught him a lot of things. He tells me that all the time, and now I'm trying to learn things from him, because I fell off, but my dad's my best friend, what I'm saying? When it's good with us, we're good, like, we get along great. We're thick as thieves. When it's bad, we're going at the throats to each other, But I wasn't raised with any kind of, like, bad upbringing or, like, drug addict moms or, like, I had a great life. We had nice things. We had river trips. We had, a good life. I chose to be a drug addict because I'm sick in the head, not because of how I was brought up, and that's what's hard for me to swallow
Here's the deal. You didn't choose to be a drug addict. You have that disease and that personality. You now have the choice not to be practicing your addiction. And all you have to do not to practice it is don't drink or use anything. Just like that. It's that simple. We make it so difficult trying to figure out how to manipulate the disease so we can drink something
I've
or
tried.
use something thinking we'll never get back to this when we know we will.
Yeah.
It's like you said earlier. I figured, well, I can drink now. And then, boom, before I know it, I'm in a room with meth and
Yeah.
it's all crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Off air, we were talking about the benefits of being sober. I think one of them, Anthony, if he confirm this, is having money. Having,
Jeez,
not
man.
spending all your money on, what you're getting high on. And one of my clients would spend, $200-$300 going into like Bevmo or Total Wine and
Didn't- yeah.
stack up. And then the other day he went shopping for groceries. I was like, oh, I had so much stuff, and I bought all this stuff for my house and everything. And just he was
Just happiness.
buying stuff
Yeah.
for that he really needed that would
Yeah.
help him to live better in his new home.
Yeah.
And even
Didn't
more,
you say that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Didn't you say how like the client you were telling me about, they bought him a car, they got him a place, a brand
Yeah.
new car, and like
Yeah.
he still went out and used? That's how sick this is, you know?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
you could have offered me a year ago 50 grand cash right now. Stop using and drinking. No way.
Right,
I'm
right.
so sick in the disease right now. There's no way. That's how
Right,
the
right.
serious this thing is. You know,
And
sometimes.
you couldn't at that time.
No.
I mean, when you're
No
in
one's
it,
gonna get you sober,
when you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah.
It's like a light switch. So the trick is don't get in it.
Yeah.
By the way, it's normal to want to use. It's normal to dream about it. It's normal to have obsessions, and that won't hurt you. What will hurt you is the action of doing it. What will go away is the dreams and the obsessions to use. It just will.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to get through all that first. And the way you get through it is by dealing with what comes up in life. You know, life's not always fair. You want fair, go to Pomona. It's not always fair.
That's what mom says. Shout out, mom.
I like your mom already.
Yeah.
Good job, Mom. But
She hasn't heard that in a
but
while, so.
really, huh?
Says she hasn't heard that in a while, so.
And back to this. I'm going to take a minute and just say this too. The friend of mine that lost his son-in-law, and to my other friend, which is his daughter that lost her husband, is my prayers are with you, and my prayers are out to everyone. Crystal's online right now, I could see, and she lost her son. My prayers are with you too, Crystal. And Jaime, which is a friend of mine, and everybody else that I know, the hundreds of people that have lost, thousands of people that have lost their children, their husbands, their wives. It's so tragic right now.
Yeah.
You know, and please understand, and please, let's get the message out, guys, that all drugs today, if it's not coming from a pharmacy in a bottle to your hand, are not real. They're fentanyl. And Michael said it. I said it's Russian roulette. He says at best.
Yeah, I mean, even the things that are legal now. I had a cousin who was vaping on THC and had to be 5150 because he was hallucinating, and it was like 90%
Yeah.
THC. It's just so unbelievable how
They're
strong.
putting fentanyl in the
things
flower
are.
now, too. I mean, they're finding fentanyl in weed.
Yeah.
Well, in the last year, I've put more people on 5150 psych holds on from THC, not pot, THC.
Yeah.
It's different. Let's get this straight. But I put more people on holds in the last year than I have in the last 40.
Jesus.
Because whatever they're doing to this stuff it's wiping people
I
out.
mean, they
I
have
guess.
these storefronts where you can just go in and just pretty much buy whatever you want.
It's a candy shop for a drug addict.
Yeah.
I had a guy tell me the other day that he's getting these Xanax and they're coming from Mexico in bottles. But then if you watch the news, even the bottles that are sealed in Mexico now are tainted with fentanyl. So it's so bad out there, guys. If you're experimenting with drugs, you're playing Russian roulette at best. If you're recreationally using, you're playing Russian roulette at best. Fentanyl is in everything. It's in cocaine. It's in Xanax-looking pills. It's in M30s. It's in everything.
Can I say something really quick, too? And if there's somebody out there that's currently using it right now, like, go to a hospital, carry Narcan, you know what I'm saying? Like, reach out to somebody. It's free everywhere around the city, wherever you are. Like, ask somebody for Narcan if you're out there still using, stuff like that. At least try to save your life or somebody else next to you. That's what I try to tell people.
And Action is a Narcan provider. We have Narcan.
Yeah.
So if anybody really needs it, I mean, you call us and come over and we will give you some.
There you go. See?
But I believe these days that every business, every restaurant, every club, every library, everyone, there needs to be Narcan everywhere. And I know some people believe that, well, they don't believe in that. It saves lives, period.
Yes, sir.
And I believe that we're all in this world to care about other people and save a life if we can. So I always have Narcan with me.
It's not an excuse not to have it anymore.
No.
And, even death is the worst outcome, but again, it's not just death. I mean, people I've worked with have gotten serious diseases or serious injuries. One guy had, like I said, the guy had his leg amputated because of years and years of drug use. So living can actually be kind of a hard thing too. So
Hey, love yourself enough to make good decisions. Care about your family enough to make good decisions. And parents, remember this: you are responsible for your children. Be the person you want your child to grow up and be. Until next week, thanks for listening.